Hey folks, hope you're having a pretty good day. It's August 7th, 2025. It's about 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and XRP is currently holding at about $3.06. So everything's cool. The market's kind of, so-so, nothing major going on. And here's Ripple. Even when there's lawsuits, even when there's a bear market, a bull market, they're quietly and aggressively building in the background. And now they're reporting another acquisition. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a disclosure. Heads up, this is going to be broken down into two videos. One to make the announcement, and the other to explain a little background on what Rail is, the thing that they acquired, and what it means to Ripple itself. That'll be the second video, and I hope you join me for both because this is significant. Press release, Ripple to acquire Rail for $200 million, expanding leadership in stablecoin payments. Big deal. And Brad Garlinghouse points out the same thing I just said a second ago. Things are never boring when it comes to Ripple and XRP. So he says no such thing as the August doldrums at Ripple. Very excited to share that we're acquiring Rail Financial. Ripple plus Rail together will be the go-to provider for stablecoin payments infrastructure for global financial institutions around the world. Financial institutions. We're not talking about you and me, guys. Remember, I keep telling you that they're going to manage the bigger dollars. That's what's coming. And here's the announcement or the press release from Rail themselves. It says, big news, Rail is joining Ripple. A huge milestone in our mission to build trusted enterprise-grade infrastructure for global payments. We power 10% of the global business-to-business stablecoin volume. Now with Ripple's backing, we're scaling even faster. You better believe it's going to be faster. Thank you to our team, clients, partners, and investors. More to come. All right, let's dig in, guys. So this is a very astute post here from Mr. Mann. This is what he says about the acquisition. He says, by acquiring Rail, Ripple is absorbing not just technology, but regulatory bandwidth, licensing coverage, and multi-network trust architecture. Ripple's strategic objectives of the acquisition is to scale RLUSD globally. Ripple's acquisition positions RLUSD to expand from U.S. regulated stablecoin into a globally interoperable settlement asset capable of bridging bank-issued stablecoins operating within MCBDC corridors, interfacing directly with the central bank RTGS and ISO 20022 flows. The plug into programmable finance infrastructure. Mr. Mann goes on to say that through Rail, Ripple can now tokenize fiat from bank balance sheets, execute AMM-based FX swaps using on-ledger and off-ledger collateral, deploy compliance-aware liquidity across networks like XRPL, Flare, Firelight, and Axelar, and own the regulatory middleware for stablecoin transfers. Let's go. Yeah, this is going to perpetuate the RLUSD on all these tokenized items. All of these blockchains you're talking about here are all on the XRP ledger. And the heavier the use on the XRP ledger, the more demand for XRP itself, the higher the value of XRP. Are you following? And here's a really astute observation from Chad Steingraber. He says, well, look at who the lead investors are of newly acquired Rail by Ripple. Galaxy and Mr. Mike Novagrats. There it is. Didn't I report yesterday that that Bitcoin maxi, Mike Novagrats, who he used to have a Terra Luna tattoo on his arm. I mean, he was just completely sold lock, stock, and barrel on all those things. He was, in my opinion, one of those venture capitalist scammers that was trying to downplay Ripple. But all those Bitcoin maxis are going to have to cave because they know what's coming. You can't deny it. And that may be why they have, I think it was $24 million worth of XRP on their balance sheet. And I showed you that yesterday. So let's take a look at this readout. They're saying that we think of Rail as disrupting SWIFT, the primary interbank messaging service for financial institutions globally. SWIFT works with 11,000 plus institutions and does $150 trillion in transaction volume per year. Rail has experienced tremendous growth year to date and plans to grow by continuing to expand its interconnectivity across many geographical corridors and partnering with growing corporations, fintechs, payment processors, and banks that see high volumes of cross-border payments. We're excited for Rail's future as the lead investor in their $10 million Series A. So lead investor meaning they're a majority owner is what it sounds like to me. We believe strongly in their funding team and see co-founders Banu Cole, CEO, and Tarun Mistry, CTO, to be two formative executives shaping the future of payments. If you are excited to join this mission or want to learn more, please check out our recent podcast, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to say all that. But that's Mike Novagrats. That's his galaxy. It's like just a little smaller than Michael Saylor's what's it called? Micro technology or micro strategy. Sorry, I had a little brain fart, so to speak. So this is interesting to see how these guys they're having a cave, because this is where the money is going to be made. It's going to be on the XRP ledger. It's going to be on those ISO 20022 compliant or compatible coins, because that's going to be the language of the banking system. With every acquisition, I think we're starting to see more clearly the picture that Ripple is revealing to us. They're going to be big on custody. They're going to be big on cross-border payments, and they are going to take over the SWIFT action. And what's easier to do? Take over just by offering a better solution, or buying a piece of the action? I think that's what Ripple just did. In buying Rail, they bought a piece of the action in taking over some of the transactions from SWIFT. Made it easier. It's forcing integration. And it's giving them a lot of access and a lot of processes that they didn't have now, that they own now by this acquisition. Now, what does this mean for Rail and the activity it has now? Rail takes about a few hours to conduct their transactions. Typically, wire transfers were, 4 or 5 days. They were expensive. Rail made it a little better. It turned it into hours. Still a little pricey. Now, if you marry Rail's access and technology to Ripple's technology, now you can do this thing with XRP in seconds, right? Final settlement. It'll be cheap. It'll be quick. It just expedites it, but it forces adoption, because now XRP just, they bought a house by the lake. That's what they bought. They're there with everybody else now. They didn't have to go in and try to buy a piece of land that didn't exist. They just bought what was there, and they're going to make it their own. It's going to be forced, and they're going to make sure to take over, because nobody else will offer a better solution. So I hope you can start to see this thing crystallize, especially with the passage of the Genius Act and stablecoin legislation and regulation. It's going to cause major adoption around the world of US-backed stablecoins. RLUSD being the premier coin amongst them, I think, because of where Ripple's going with these acquisitions. So let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, bookmark, and don't forget part 2, which explains a little bit more about what Rail is and what this acquisition means to Ripple.